Through the Third Eye. Book 1 of the Third Eye Trilogy. Chapter 7. Will he be famous? Shali continued working Iqbal's soul through the next life. She suddenly looked at Clay and said,
"We've got another multidisciplinarian here. He's another Persian named Avicenna who lived about 1000 AD. He said he was very experienced as a physicist, philosopher, astronomer, chemist, physician and mathematician. What can you find on him?"
Clicking away on his laptop, Clay replied,
"Yeah, he was a Persian too, but he came from Uzbekistan. The history books say he was also a renowned geologist, logician, paleontologist, poet, psychologist, scientist, soldier, statesman, and teacher. Phew."
A big grin came across Clay's face.
"This guy is a regular Captain America, or should I say Captain Persia."
Looking up from his laptop, he added,
"Shali, ready for this one? Avicenna is known as the father of the concept of momentum, as in physics. He's the father of physics."
Clay looked at Iqbal, but leaned over to Shali and whispered so only she could hear,
"Enough fatherhood, okay, Iqbal."
Shali quietly laughed.
"Promiscuous soul, huh? What else do you have on Avicenna?"
According to this here, he was also a great pharmacist. Even today, Avicenna's picture is on the diploma of the Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain. However, I sense that he may have been a bit confused.
"What do you mean confused?"
He was a devoted Muslim living in the heart of Islam at its crowning peak. Catch this, by the age of 10 he had memorized the entire Quran. It seems like he may have found himself at conflict between Islam and science. Him.
Clay continued reading and scanning.
For the most part, I would say that Islam won the debate. Avicenna became extremely critical of Rhazes, his own former incarnation. He must have been one confused puppy, somehow in conflict with his soul's core philosophies in a previous life.
Yeah, but Avicenna was no different than anyone else in any other time who is influenced by the religious, philosophical and cultural environments in which they grow up.
Clay tilted his head to the side and grimaced at Shali before responding.
"My lady, you are getting deep here."
He spun his finger in a circle and said,
"Roll on."
She glared at him and then moved the regression session forward. Suddenly, the soul's guide came out in full interaction without prompting from Shali. The change in Iqbal's tone and demeanor was obvious. Clay smiled at Shali and nodded in acknowledgement that the guide had finally exposed itself. The guide revealed the last publicly known life of Iqbal's soul.
Ezra Pound, 1885, United States, Italy. Writer, poet, political activist.
Shali immediately translated for Clay, but he was already searching the name. Clay whispered to himself. Not looking up from the screen, he said to Shali,
"This guy is a mess. How did this soul, who had so many very significant lives over the past 4,000 years, end up in a screwed-up life like this American, Ezra Pound? I thought lives were supposed to improve over time."
As the guide drawled on in staccato monotone in the background, and Clay continued describing Ezra to Shali.
On one hand, this guy appears to be a popular writer. On the other hand, he's almost a radical nutcase, a hyper-liberal. He died only a few decades ago. Pound was politically active in Italy before World War II and supported both the fascists and the Nazis. But he was chastised by both sides. Neither side wanted to claim him. He was very negative towards everything. Whoa. After the war, Pound was imprisoned as a traitor by the United States. He was charged and tried as a criminal, but since they couldn't prove it, they just committed him to an insane asylum to get him out of the way.
Shali looked at Clay with a puzzled look.
"I'm listening to the guide and he is saying pretty much the same thing, but from his viewpoint. She thought Ezra was great. All of this soul's previous lives were so sophisticated and intellectual. How could this be? What went wrong?
Clay sat back from his laptop and paused for a moment. The soul's guide continued describing the life of 𝐂𝐻𝐿. After a few moments, Clay said,
This 𝐂𝐻𝐿 is the same soul as all of these other famous people, and he died in our lifetime. If 𝐿 was the only well-known life of this soul in the last 1,000 years, could the lasting images of these lives have changed over history? I mean, all the other famous lives were revered and placed on a pedestal. He was the father of half a dozen disciplines and played a role in the foundation of all modern religions. Could history have been distorted by time? What I'm saying is, do you think this soul could have been a nutcase in his previous lives too? And then, after hundreds or thousands of years, history has been rewritten to suit another purpose.
Shali raised her hand and said,
Sure, she.
The guide continued with terse, pointed sentences.
It was necessary that 𝐂𝐻𝐿's writings be encoded. The world was not prepared to comprehend or utilize the wisdom within. War was dominant, hatred prolific, and society was not stable.
Shali quickly translated for Clay.
Encode.
He whispered back.
It says here that 𝐿's poetry and prose writings were confusing, almost cryptic. I looked at extracts of some of his writings here. It's like gibberish. Does this have something to do with Jabir from his former life?
Shali waved her hand to shush Clay again.
The truth was revealed to this soul by the elders. This soul documented knowledge in the cantos, encoded the knowledge in the cantos.
Shali quickly looked at Clay and pointed her finger vigorously at his laptop.
What are the cantos? He wrote something called the cantos.
He clicked furiously on the keyboard. After a moment, Clay responded.
The cantos is a series of writings by 𝐂𝐻𝐿. He did these writings over his entire life. There were a bunch of different topics. It looks like he numbered them a bit like Nostradamus quatrains. Do you figure this book is some kind of encoded predictions or prophecies?
No. It might be part of the hidden secrets but not the whole thing.
Clay looked puzzled.
Do you think the secrets could be hidden in plain sight, as in these people's writings?
I don't know, but on second thought, I wouldn't think so. The previous regressions that led us to 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 seem to say the secrets were physically hidden because someone doesn't want them to be published or available. But the cantos and Jabir's works are certainly published and not hidden at all.
Clay flicked his eyebrows and said,
Maybe this is like the X-Files, the truth is out there. Maybe the dark, shadowy man with the burning cigarette is the one who wants to suppress the writings and the truth.
Shali glared at Clay with annoyance.
We've got to get going. I can tell 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's stamina is giving out. We've been at this for over 8 hours and his body is showing signs of fatigue. Let's push the guide on the writings themselves or locate other living souls that can help us.
Shali turned to the scripts for the next phase and instructed 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒.
I would like to continue to speak directly with the guide only.
Shali signaled, and Clay pressed an extra long shock to the third eye. 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's head pushed back into the pillow. In the guide's deep female slow tone of voice, 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 responded.
Yes. And what do you wish?
Clay and Shali glanced at each other with a look of excitement. Shali said to the guide,
We are looking for a collection of writings in the time of this soul's present life. These writings contain great knowledge and wisdom. They are claimed to be secrets. Where are these writings located?
There was no response. Shali probed again.
Who has possession of these writings today? Can anyone disclose the location of these writings to us?
There was still no response, but they both saw a slight wrenching reaction of discomfort in 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's shoulders. Finally, a response came from 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's guide.
The wisdom you seek was once in the great library on the desert coast. The library is no more.
Yes, We know the Alexandrian library is gone, it was destroyed. Tell me who destroyed it.
There was no response. Shali put 3 fingers in the air and made a hard jabbing motion at her forehead. Clay turned up the micro-pulse dial and shocked 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's third eye for a long 3 seconds. 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's head pushed back into the chair, but no response came. Clay hit it again. Still no response. Shali rephrased the question.
Has any person or group been trying to destroy these hidden secrets from Alexandria after they were removed from the library? Is anyone still trying to destroy these secrets today?
The silence continued. Clay hit the button again. Nothing. Shali looked at Clay and shook her head. She continued with the guide.
Were copies of the secret writings removed from the Library of Alexandria before it was destroyed?
Finally, she got a response.
3 copies of this knowledge to which you refer were removed before destruction.
Who removed them?
A group of people took the documents to preserve the words.
Does this group still exist in the world?
Yes,
What was this group called?
those who desire to preserve the words.
Shali glanced at Clay and whispered.
Smart-assed guide.
Then she turned back to 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 and asked,
Today, where can we locate those who desire to preserve the words? How do we find the copies today? Where do we find those who protect those documents today?
There was no response. Shali tried again.
Tell us which souls know the present location of these writings. Where are those souls living in bodies at this time? Where we can find them?
A smug look came across 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's face.
You have in this soul a librarian. Shouldn't you look for other librarians if you want to find your secrets?
Yes. Help us locate the librarians who are living in human bodies at this time.
𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's head, neck, and shoulders tightened up. He twisted to the right and then the left, as if looking for something in the air. The guide responded.
The first and last librarians of the great Alexandrian library are there in your world now.
Clay noted the excitement in Shali and looked at her with anticipation. Shali briefly translated for him and then looked back at 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 and said,
Tell us where to find these 2 librarians.
One is on the big island to the north, in a village of the castle in the south. The castle of the Holy Chalice.
Shali translated for Clay. They looked at each other with puzzlement. Clay turned back to the laptop and quickly typed in a search for Holy Chalice Castle Island. Thousands of internet hits showed up on his laptop screen. He said to Shali,
Big island in the north could be Greenland, Iceland, Newfoundland, Britain, or Ireland. I don't know of many big islands north of Russia. Franz Joseph Land, maybe. You've got to get me closer than this and dig into this holy chalice.
Shali asked the guide.
What is the name of the castle or village or the name of the person living at this time?
A castle, no more. The name of the person is Thomas. Evan.
Clay gave Shali a strange look of optimistic exasperation.
From the name Thomas or Evan, the person is probably Welsh or English. The big island has to be Britain. Wales is on the island. There are probably 500 castles in Wales alone, from the internet search.
He clicked at the computer again.
But it looks like only a handful of castles in Wales may have some linkage to the Holy Grail, assuming that is the chalice. But half the people in Wales are named Evans or Thomas. We've got to get more specific details on the person. See if you can find out if they are known by a different name or what they do for a living.
Shali turned to 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒.
By what other names is this person called? What does this person do for occupation?
Tommy is keeper of the castle, that is no more.
Shali asked.
Tommy, how many years has this soul been in this body?
51 years for this life.
Shali smiled and translated for Clay. Clay asked Shali.
Ask if this Tommy is the first librarian or the last librarian of Alexandria. There could be a 400 to 600 year window around the existence of the library, and I'd bet the last one would know where the secrets were stashed.
Let me catch up a bit on this Tommy first.
Shali asked 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒.
Does the soul in this body live in a place called Wales, and what is the name of the castle that is no more?
They got no response. Shali asked.
Was this soul the first or last librarian of the great Alexandrian library?
There was a long pause but no answer. On Shali's cue, Clay gave a 3-second shot of micropulse to the third eye, but still no response. After a few more hits to the third eye, Clay said to Shali,
It isn't worth pissing off the guide or wearing down 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 right now. Let's move on to the other librarian.
Shali asked the guide.
You mentioned that a second librarian of Alexandria is living a life at the present time. Who is the person living in a body now?
In the isthmus between the great bodies of land, east of the water that divides the lands.
Shali's face contorted. She translated, and Clay pondered for a moment before saying,
The biggest isthmus in the world is Panama, between North and South America. The water that divides could be the Panama Canal. If it is to the east of the canal, it could be either the Pacific or the Caribbean side. There isn't much down the Pacific side, except some stray villages and a lot of Colombian drug bandits. Try to get a name of the area or a village or some other geographic description.
Shali asked the guide, what is the name of the place where this soul now lives?
The guide responded.
They call it Parizu. 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 Kuna Yala.
Clay, did you get those names?
Clay smiled and quickly jumped to Google Earth on his laptop.
I got it, Shali. I think I know right where this is. I spent several years in Central America when I was in Army intelligence. It's gotta be the Kuna Indians around the San Blas Islands on the Caribbean shore. Paraíso, meaning paradise in Spanish, and it really is a paradise. Try to get the person's name, age, occupation.
Shali turned to 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒.
What is the name of the living person for this soul? How old is that body now? Is there anything significant about this person?
She is called Sogui and has been 72 years in this body. She is a leader of her people. She has been tested with many challenges. She succeeded in the tests and will be rewarded. The end of the challenge is near, soon to guide others.
Shali translated for Clay, and they looked at each other with big smiles. Clay commented,
This should be a piece of cake to find her. There's only 60 or 70,000 Kunas down there. Having a unique name, fairly precise age, and some type of leadership role will find her quickly. However, it may not be easy to convince her to do the regression. The Kunas are committed to their lifestyle and beliefs. I'm not sure how we'll get an old native Indian to go along with a regression. When we get back, I'll make some connections in Panama to start the wheels rolling. We've gotten as far as we can for now with 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒. It is clear the guide is not going to reveal the location of the writings. Let's wrap this up and move on.
Shali tried to start the hypnotic decompression, but it was too late. While they had been chatting on the side, 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 and his guide had also evidently felt the regression was finished. 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 had slumped over to the side and was now completely asleep. Clay validated this by scanning his monitoring equipment.
Shali, we wore this guy out. He's sleeping like a baby. Let's let him rest for half an hour while we start tearing down the equipment. We'll review the tapes tomorrow and get our tickets back to California.
Ok, I assume we can skip the other two 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒s. I'll contact them and pay them for a day's work to keep peace.
Later, when 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 started coming out of his deep sleep, Shali walked him through the decompression script and back to full consciousness. She followed the PLR-75 protocol, precisely to ensure Iqbal would not remember any details of the regression. They settled up on the agreed fees, and Iqbal left with a nice pocketful of Jordanian dinars. He had absolutely no idea of his own soul's famous lives over the past 4,000 years. As they finished packing, Clay said to Shali,
I wonder if Iqbal himself will be another famous person, or just another Ahmed schmuck, Palestinian accountant.
No doubt the world will see more of this soul, if not from this life, then in a future life. Let's keep our eyes on the Middle Eastern news in about 20 years. You never know.
End of Chapter 7.